Hello and welcome. This is the Animazing Podcast. This is D and Modi, and we are talking about Burn the Witch. And dang, a new manga series from the creator of Bleach, Tyke Kubo, and man, is he back in form on this one.
Oh no, I know, honestly. Like this I don't know what to say. It's good. It's really good. I'm glad he's back. That's really the best thing I can say. I'm glad he's back.
Okay, so only like there are like I really enjoyed this, and this has like you know how like some mangas get like one shots and everything to sort of like little pilot chapters.
Mhm.
This feels like the most ultimate form of that. Like
True.
I feel like my only the biggest issue I have with this is probably it feels a tad bit condensed. I feel if they had like
Yes.
one more like episode instead of like if it was like a movie format where it's just like 4 episodes instead of just three and had a little bit more room to breathe, it would have been
Yeah.
perfect. But despite
It's
that,
funny
mm,
it's funny you say that because technically this is actually a movie. Like this is a film and uh Crunchyroll just took it and split it up into episodes, but technically it's like a 1 hour movie.
yeah, if it had
So yeah, I agree. They should have had more, but I'm assuming they're just adapting the 4 chapters of the manga that Kubo did, and
mm,
I'm guessing this is what this is. I guess if anything, the manga should have probably been longer too. If this is adapting it like exactly the way the manga was, I'm not sure. I'd have to go and read it.
yeah, this does not feel like a movie. It feels like a super long pilot. It feels like
Yeah,
an hour-long TV pilot that's just super condensed.
yeah, I
Like if
agree.
this was like if you took this story and put it like I made it 2 hours long. It's still I wouldn't like this story format doesn't really work as a movie, but it would have worked really well as like a OVA kind of thing.
Yeah. In fact, that's what I thought it was until like I looked it up. I thought it was an OVA. But overall, I agree with you that it felt there could have been just a little more, like maybe another half hour more or like ideally an hour more,
Mm.
and that would have really fleshed it out very well because the main thing that and actually before I even get into that, it's interesting because there was an actual one shot of Burn the Witch that came out like back in 2018 or something.
Mm.
And it's interesting to see the differences between the actual one shot and this because the one shot in Burn the Witch really felt closer to Bleach actually. It felt like the this whole witch society here
Mm.
was just the London version of Soul Society. Like it kind of felt like that. So it's interesting. Like it could have people were even speculating that it was all part of the same universe, but now it's very clearly. I would say it's very clearly a different universe.
I
Um,
think it is. It feels like the same. So
really?
like they had that whole sign at the end that said like West Branch Soul Society.
Wait, what did it say?
Remember it had like Soul Society West Branch or something?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, then I don't see it though because it's still it's too different. Like there's not enough for me to say like it still feels like two different worlds because there I don't think there's enough similarities between them and the Bleach world aside from maybe like
The
aside
keto.
from the magic system. Yeah, exactly, the keto.
Oh my
uh
god. What if each like area of the world had its own soul society? So like everything in Bleach was just like the Eastern Soul Society. Everything going in here is like the European Soul Society, and then you have like freaking superheroes going on in like the North American Soul Society.
if that was the case, I would love that. That would be so hype, actually. Maybe that is the case. Right now, as I see it, it feels too different, but I can see it now that you've talked. Now that like you've explained it more, I can see it happening, and I would like it a lot if they did that. If imagine if one day they did like a crossover, that would be crazy.
See, I would have laughed my... See, like, that's, like, the first thing I was thinking about. So, basically, the premise of Burn the Witch is... Instead of... Okay. Alright, the premise, I was just, like, having Bleach... I had, like, a Bleach Caesar for a second. But, basically... Is a magical world where people with supernatural powers and dragon tamers... It's like people with supernatural powers fighting off dragons.
Yeah.
I was literally about to say something like Bleach, but instead of like Shinigami or Soul Reapers, you have witches, and instead of like Hollows, you have dragons. But that is just so painfully reductive, like in this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but if you had to describe it, that's how I would describe it. Like that's how I would describe it. I wouldn't say Bleach, but with this, but I would say the first thing you said, which is, people with supernatural powers fighting dragons. Like that's probably what I'd say. Like, and then I would say like add shonen syndrome to it, and boom, there you go.
Okay, you see, like that's what like really kind of makes me see this as like all one shared universe, because it isn't like a copy of Bleach, but it feels like it follows the same kind of logic in a sense. It feels like the people dealing with problems in this universe are dealing with like it feels like the people in this universe are dealing with problems very similar to the problems in Bleach.
Yeah, I can see that. Have you seen Harry Potter?
Yes.
Or read it? Okay.
It's like if Tai Kubo wrote Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially the whole idea of there being like a reverse London. Like, there's like, you know how there's like the Muggle society and the Wizard society, but they're like parallel with each other, pretty much. That specific thing reminded me a lot of Harry Potter.
You know what I was really thinking? So there was like this whole segment where like, ah, yes, 70% of humans have been killed by dragons and blah blah blah. I was literally thinking to myself, like, what if, like, 50% of that was, like, hollows? Like, the soul side is just, like, that one level higher of, like, plain, like, spiritual awareness. So, like, only, like, of that 72%, only 50% of it was dragons, and the rest of it was just hollows, and they were just unable to notice it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I guess... Yeah, what I'll say is I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out that it was like, part of the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel like there's enough. I think maybe even Kubo might have done it on purpose, where there's enough differences where it's not like very clear from watching it that, oh, they're definitely in the same universe. But there's still enough similarities that it could be. So like he could do it maybe if he wanted to, which I think is probably a good way to go about it.
And the last like Bleach comparison, because I really want to like sort of judge this on its own. Do you think he should like play around with the shared universe thing and sort of like let a few of like Bleach's like world system sort of leak into it, so like whenever something powers up, you have that like downward like gravity well kind of effect, or like I really feel like the magic.
Are you talking about like when someone in Bleach when someone had like really high spiritual pressure?
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't even see that as something specific to Bleach. I've seen similar things in other, especially in One Piece. I've seen something like that. So I wouldn't even put it as specific to Bleach. So if he put it in Burn the Witch, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a Bleach callback. I would just be like, oh, that's an anime thing,
So, but do you think he should just say like caution to the wind and just make Burn the Witch its own like wholly unique world, or do you think he should he should like pull back like 80% and just still keep those like Bleach ties in there a little bit?
I think he should go he should go all in on making Burn the Witch its own new world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't mind at all if Burn the Witch had no relation at all to Bleach. I would have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably though this like the best way to go. Actually, I don't think it's the best way to go, but another way he could go would be to what he's done so far, which is like I said, make it unique enough that you don't like that there's still a question about whether it's in the same universe as Bleach,
Yeah.
but like still keep some similarity so that if he wanted to much later on in the series, he could like do some sort of like callback or crossover or something. But I feel like he should probably focus on developing this story on its own before he even thinks about like bringing Bleach into it, because then it would kind of feel like he's relying on Bleach, which I really don't think he needs to. Like this,
which he shouldn't either.
This series, this this series stands, I think, stands very well on its own, and it could very well be that this whole conversation we're having is pointless and like Bleach never crossed his mind at all while he was making this.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't surprise me either. So
like. You know what it feels like? It feels like that whole like Soul Society West Branch thing was literally him at the last minute saying like, "Huh, let's make this a shared universe."
Yeah. I can see it. I can see it for sure.
Now, how did you feel about? So we talked about the world, how like we have like dragon taming / slaying witches and everything, or I guess warlocks too. Did they ever like give a solid name for like the magic users in this world? Because I know there are like different groups like Inks, the Sabers, and then the Witches. But I wonder if that's just like he's going the whole route of magic users who are female are called witches, and like magic users who are male are called like wizards or warlocks or something.
I think that might be what he's going, because I think there was a part in episode 2 or 3 when someone referred to like them as witches and wizards. So that's probably what it is. But I will say the weakest point of these 3 episodes was definitely the world building.
Yes.
There was a lot of stuff that could have been explained. Like it was just enough. It wasn't like God of High School. But it was definitely enough to, not confuse you and to keep you able to understand and like interested in what's happening. But there was stuff like that whole society and like the group of
Gote
leaders
13
at the top. Yeah, pretty much the Gote 13. They weren't explained very well, and especially someone who like if there was any aspect that needed to be explained more, I would say it's Balgo, because I don't really know what he is. I think what is he called again? Like
a dragon shroud or a dragon scale or something.
Yeah, something like that. That needed way more explanation, because he was literally like the MacGuffin of the whole thing. So like I feel like we need to understand why he's in that position and what he is. And actually, when I finished watching these, I went to the wiki and like I read like a little blurb about him and explained more about him. So I don't know if the manga explains it or not, but I'm doubtful, because the manga's only like 4 chapters. So maybe though. I'm gonna read it.
So I think my biggest issue with this, and while I really enjoyed it, it felt like, and I cannot call this a movie. There is no way on earth I could ever call this a movie, and that's because it spends so much of its runtime building up future stuff. It was like doing so much groundwork and seed laying for like future series. Like, there is no way, like, on earth you could tell, like, if someone told me that this wasn't, like, a 140 chapter long, like, series, I would call them a liar. Like, if this, like, series complete, like, if you, like, jump to the end of this series and in its chapter length wasn't 100, like, wasn't in the triple digits, then it must have been canceled really early on.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that this is the start of a longer series. But there needed to be like if this is all we're gonna get for at least a year, which is what I'm assuming, right? If this is all we're gonna get for at least a year, I feel like there should have been a more conclusive ending to, I guess, this is technically season 1, right? I feel like there should have been something a little bit more, or at least flesh out the world a little bit more, but especially if they're gonna call it a film. I think the label of it doesn't really matter. I just think that it was lacking a little bit in terms of the world building. I don't really care about the label though.
Like, I feel that for this to really work as a film, it should, or even work narratively better than it does right now, is they should have just cut out all of the political behind the scenes Gote, for lack of a better term, 13 stuff, and just have it focus on our 4 main characters of Nia, Nina, and Balgo and Macy. It should have just been their stuff, and then you just had Bang Knife, who easily was the best character of that series. If you argue with that, you are stupid, and I do not like you anymore. Just have his appearance.
I'm gonna argue with that one. But yeah, keep going.
They should have just had him come out of nowhere and just have him be that teaser of oh man, there's this badass dude who's high up in the political system. Oh man, there's more badass dudes and dudettes like him. This is gonna be hype, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. They probably didn't need to. This is definitely something. I think the only reason we're dissatisfied in this way is because there isn't more. That's all. I think that's it. If there was more coming, if this was a 12 episode season or something, this wouldn't be an issue, I assume. But it's just that we're just getting these 3 episodes and we're gonna have to wait a long time. So it's so it feels final, right? So it's since it feels like a final thing, it doesn't. It feels kind of too short. It feels too cut off. It feels like you said, a pilot, which essentially is what it is. So
I would say also 2 things on the writing. So for this to be a conclusive movie or OVA kind of thing, it should have had 4 episodes, because there were a lot of moments where it just feels like it just cut out, just footage missing, how that first Dark Dragon appeared. It also should have taken some more time to, you said, flesh out who Balgo is. And it also should have established more of an arc for Nina, because they established her relationship with Macy, and that was the main climax and focus of this film. It should have again taken out the Inks Gote 13 politics, and just had it focus on that, and just had them be a slight sequel MCU teaser bit to future developments.
That's really true, because another part that I really wanted to see more of was Nini, and her. I want to see more of all of them actually when they're not in the reverse London, when they're in the real world, her being a pop star or whatever, and then Noelle as a student. I especially Nini, because you said, her story with Macy was kind of a main focus of the season. So yeah, I would have liked to see more of that. I agree.
Honestly, I would have loved if they played around with her insane jealousy. So you have that scene where they first get blown up by the Cinderella dragon, and she's running towards Nina. I would have loved it if there was a scene where she just takes a detour to kick a downed Niho, just kick Niho while she was unconscious, and then run over to Nina after that.
That would be funny. But I'm glad they didn't go so overboard on that thing, because I've seen shows where they do, and it can work. But I also see I feel Kubo has evolved, as a writer. I think it's clear, especially I think Macy was the best written character in this, because she was so deep, and it was actually a real person. The only unrealistic part about her was how jealous she got for Nini. But I feel if it was just enough where it was funny, but like if it had gone to that level where she's like going out of her way to kick Noelle down,
You know, like
that would have been too much.
you know, to me, Macy feels like Palm from Hunter x Hunter before everything went wrong. Like it feels like she's like one traumatic event away from being her.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's so true. I think maybe this was that traumatic event. But yeah, so about the best character though. So, all right. You said Bang Knife was your favorite character.
Yes.
I don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, my favorite character, I don't really have the best reason. Guess who you think my favorite character is?
Balgo?
No. My favorite character is Billy Banks Jr., the guy who one-shot the dragon.
Yeah.
Because just that one moment was just so disgustingly badass. It's funny too because he's like I see him as like the Urahara type of character, and Urahara is also like my favorite in Bleach. So maybe there's a trend. But
okay, so just to counter that, my favorite character in Bleach was Grimmjow. And
oh wow, okay, so there we go. That explains everything. I like Urahara, and I also like Billy, and you like Grimmjow, and you also like what's his name, Bang Knife. So that explains everything.
No, like
at least we're consistent.
Yeah. No, like Bang Knife feels like if Grimmjow had a son and he pulled a gene on him.
Yeah. But speaking of characters, I would say, like, even though Billy was my favorite character, I think all of them were very strong, except I would say the two weakest characters were Balgo and Bang Knife, because I'll start with Balgo, since I know you want to argue about Bang Knife. Balgo, I think we can probably agree, he was pretty much, I would say he was barely a character. Like, he had like one personality trait, and that was just like being an airhead and like, you know, being horny for Noelle, and that's it. Like that's all he was. So
like
that's why
I said, like, going back to Bleach comparisons, you're like that flower, that Hanataro kid from like the early sections of like the Soul Society arc, and like Ichigo's hyperactive, like, I wish I was a shonen character friend from high school. He feels like a super simpy like fusion of those two characters.
Yeah. You're right. That's true. Yeah. And I really actually, if I had to put money on it, I would bet that like there's actually a lot more to his character. But there just wasn't, I guess, you know, there just wasn't enough time to show all that. I'm sure later on in the series we're going to find out more and he's going to be more fleshed out. But I was actually hoping that within these 3 episodes, he would get like a moment where he actually kind of like at least does something interesting outside of, you know, what he's been doing. So
I feel like they're going the whole like Kamen Rider route where they introduce a side character who's just like chilling out like as a support, but then slowly grows into like a main fighter character.
Yeah, I hope so, because I would really like that. I think it'll get really old. It already got old within 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Like his whole shtick. So I think not only would I want to see that, I think that needs to happen for his character. Otherwise, his character is going to be very boring.
Although I do appreciate that instead of him just being like super thirsty, semi like obsessive, they actually do sort of establish that they do have that he does have like a semi like romantic relationship with Noelle.
Oh, he does? So I was confused about that part at the end of episode 3 when she just, what was she doing? Why was she like, I didn't understand, honestly. Like, was she just holding his shirt? I don't get it at all.
I'm like, I interpret it as them like being a couple, and based on like Noelle's personality, it wouldn't be like, she wouldn't be the type of person to like be really interested in like public displays of affection. And like, I feel that I feel like they're definitely a couple, and I feel like this is just how like they mutually express their relationship with each other.
I disagree. I cannot, like, even in the most tsundere type of, like, Because okay, listen, in the first episode he was like literally going crazy with the dragon and she was just like chilling drinking a soda. Like, and then when she saved him, he was like what did he say? He was like, "Oh my god, you saved me." And she was like, "I guess you can say the actions I took rescued you." Like, that does not seem like, even if she was the most like cold-hearted person and just like terrible at showing emotions, like, that's just I couldn't say that they're a couple, which is
Honestly,
why to me that last scene was like just very weird. I didn't understand it.
honestly, that would actually add to my like enjoyment of Noelle's character, that she's like so cold. That is literally how she treats her boyfriend.
I would too. That I agree. I would like it, but I would have to like see something very explicitly stated like they are a couple, because for me that one scene was not enough to cancel out everything that happened before. So they would have to literally just say it straight up, you know. Um, but yeah, Bang Knife. The reason why I think Bang Knife is like, he's not a bad character. In fact, he's a good character. But I just don't, in the whole cast, he was not better than any of them aside from Balgo. Because
Dude,
to me, he's just like, yeah, go ahead.
his last name literally is the sound of an explosion and a weapon used for stabbing people.
That's all he has going for him.
He has a crazy lightning dragon and has a badass skull mask.
Yes, exactly. This gets down to the crux of why I'm not that impressed with him, because he's like, to me he's just pretty much style over substance. Like, yes, he's a super cool looking character. At least something a little bit deeper, something that like shows there's more to you, you know? Because to me he's just like he's like the quintessential like badass character, and I agree he's badass and he's cool and I like him, but like that's it. Like, if you look at Billy, right? This is a guy who at least he has something more to him, right? Like, he only had like 2 minutes of screen time probably, right? But in that time, right, you see him, he acts like as this mentor figure, and then you see him interacting with the person in the Gote 13, and he seems like this, like, you know, this kind of dope of a guy who's like not that smart, doesn't really know what's going on, doesn't know anything about his surroundings. And then you see him one shot, you know, like a, you know, the greatest dragon or whatever from across the city, from inside a building, and then just walk away casually. You see, that to me, that's like, okay, there's like something there. There's like interest. It's like there's like depth. You know, it's like mystery around him. With Bang Knife, it's just like, yeah, okay. You know, I've seen this guy a million times. But I will say, of this character type, of this character trope that Bang Knife is, easily, I mean, probably one of the best. Like, Kubo does this better than anyone else. So I like him, but I just don't think he's like, you know, anything special.
Dude, like, what are you talking about depth? Like, this dude, like, fights by, like, spray painting graffiti on his, like, dragon's wings and using it to summon shadow demons. Like,
Yeah,
how much depth do you need?
That was so crazy. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, like, damn, like, his dragon too, so cool. Like, everything. He didn't do one thing that wasn't just, like, badass. Like, everything he did, like, when he spray painted the summoning thing, I was like, oh my god, that's such a good concept. That brings me to another thing that I want to talk about. Do you have anything else you want to say about Bang Knife?
If Kubo came out and said that he was kickstarting a manga spinoff just around him, I would literally pay from my own pocket to hit every single Kickstarter goal for it.
I would too, but I feel like he could do better, and he has done better by not making Bang Knife the main character. But, so, the whole spray painting thing brings me to another thing which I really like about Burn the Witch, which is like, I'm going to bring up Bleach again just a little bit. It's like a cool contrast from Bleach, which is, in Bleach, it was like very, how do I say it, like, not old fashioned, but like, I guess old fashioned in a way. Like, they fought with swords. They wore like the Is it
Geese.
kimonos? It's probably not kimonos. I'm probably
Geese.
sounding really stupid right now. Oh, okay, yeah, that. Um, and it was very like old fashioned kind of ish, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
fine. It's good. Love Bleach. I like how in Burn the Witch everything is kind of like it's like you can really tell this is definitely modern day. Like they're
Yeah.
using like rather than using their blood or whatever to summon stuff, they're using spray paint, much smarter. And the biggest thing is they're using guns. I've never seen in any form of media. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right in saying this. I don't think I've seen any form of media where they have witches and wizards using guns, right? You've seen them use wands, you've seen them
Yeah.
use staffs, you've seen them even use swords, like classic types of weapons, but not
Mm.
guns. And I think that's really cool. Like it feels like it really is how it would be if there were modern, witches and wizards.
So two things. You would love Bayonetta because she's literally a witch who does like fancy gun kata.
Oh
And
yeah?
the other thing is I love just the whole look of this world because like you said, it didn't just like it had this really great like old timey like fantasy like London feel, but it
Hmm.
combined it with just like so much modernity. It just created such a unique look to it. Also,
Yeah. The dragon brooms?
using a barrel of a gun to blow into a pipe sounds like the worst possible idea I could ever imagine.
Wait, when did that happen?
You know how like Noelle's gun is? How she like blow like it's like doubles as a horn, where like the large half of the horn is like the gun handle, and the thin half that you blow into is the barrel.
Oh, I totally missed that. I didn't even see that. No.
Yeah, like it's a that like has to take the cake for stupidly and practically cool anime weapons.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just like all it takes is just like one wrong move and you're a persona user.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is also another thing I like about Kubo. I tend to like simplicity.
Mm,
So I like the fact that, they're they they clearly have a lot of things that they can do, but it's all very simple, right? They just have their guns and
mm.
they have their magic and then they have their dragons that they use to fly around and that's it. It's nice and simple, clean, and it looks really good and yeah, I really and also of course I keep talking about cool, but like gotta give props to the Studio Colorido. I've never heard of them before,
Hmm.
but they really did such a good job. Like this world is really enticing the way
Yeah.
they did the art, the colors, the animation. It's just when they were flying, it felt satisfying watching them fly. Did you feel
Yeah.
that? Like I was like, this is good. This is really good.
I just wish there was more of it. Like again, like okay, it's telling when the biggest flaw of a show is I wish there was more.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, if this is what it takes, like the whole weekly schedule thing. Hey, if Kubo doesn't want to do a weekly schedule and he wants to take his time, then I'm not gonna complain, especially when it's this good. Like, hey, take your time, do what you need, because this is nice. I really like it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, let me see. I think there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Okay, no, never mind. I think I touched on everything. Yeah.
How would you rate it?
I would give it strong 8 probably. I would give it solid or strong 8. Definitely an 8.
Like, if I was just like letting myself be a slave to hype, I would say 9. But if I'm being like super serious and cynical about it, I would say 8.5.
Yeah, I would I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even say there was that much hype. The only hype part was when like I said, Billy one shot the dragon. Oh my god, that's just come on, like come
Honestly,
on, like
let me say this. I've always been disappointed that there was never like a modern shonen series that just really hooked me and just sucked me in. Like back in the day, so like you had your Naruto's, your One Pieces, your Bleach, And I feel like this generation with Black Clover, Boruto, My Hero Academia, and Demon Slayer, none of them really hooked and sucked me in. But Burn the Witch feels like that one series that would just drag me in.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Burn the Witch, and maybe it's because like I was a big fan of Bleach back in the day, but it feels like every single thing that was like really great about Bleach, just in a brand new, like, fresh, modern, and original package.
Yeah. And I'll say this too. I really wish in a way that I didn't know this was made by Kubo, because watching this I was like, I want more. I want so much more. And like this is like I'm really enthusiastic about the series, which doesn't happen a lot for new series for me. So I'm wondering.
Really... Okay.
I'm really wondering if like it's because I know it's made by Kubo, or if it's genuinely that good. I feel like it's genuinely that good, but I don't like. There's always going to be that doubt in my mind if I'm just being a fanboy, you know.
I think it is generally that good because like Kubo is not a perfect writer, and he has effed up a lot in the final section of Bleach. But I feel like with this is prime Kubo. Also, I love the fact that the only like character that actually like looks like a Bleach character is Noelle.
Really? I would say, what about Bang Knife? I would say all of them do, but like Bang Knife especially.
Noelle feels like the most like if I had like the three most like Kubo or Bleach characters in this were definitely Noelle, Balgo, and Bang Knife.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I agree. I wonder if like, yeah, I don't know. I see what you're saying though, because I do feel like I wouldn't necessarily know if I didn't see Noelle and I didn't see Bang Knife and I just saw the other characters. I might not necessarily know right away that this was Kubo. So yeah, maybe his art style is changing a little. Yeah. Or maybe the anime changed his art style a little bit from the manga. I'm definitely gonna read the manga though, just to see if maybe there was more stuff in there, because and it's only 4 chapters, so why not?
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's all for me.
All right. Tune in next. Thanks for watching our podcast. Tune in next time, and until then, stay safe and stay healthy.